OpenAI to Z is a challenge where you use AI, machine learning, programming, all that kind of stuff to discover ancient ruins under the Amazon rainforest. After that, once you submit your project and hopefully after you find something, subject matter experts will review your submission. And if you win, you stand to gain $250,000, $125,000 of green cash, $125,000 of OpenAI credits, and funding to continue work with the archaeologists. So essentially, if you win, you are changing your life. $125,000 is life-changing money for most people. And you get new opportunities. You get to work with, experts in the field. You get to continue the research that you were doing, potentially leave a dent in history. And you get an entire month to seize this opportunity. However, today is the 27th. This project is due on the 29th. I have basically a day to do this because it's due the morning of the 29th because of time zones. So I'm basically gonna have to speedrun this entire project today with only a laptop, zero subject matter expertise, barely any money, because as you can see, I am only a high schooler, right? I don't make any money from YouTube. To put into perspective the infinitesimally small chance that I have of winning this competition, think about the people that are going to be competing for this, right? There's going to be like PhDs, subject matter experts, people who have like giant, 100 GPU, AI GPU clusters in their garage, pumping away at. And I have one day, and I have to beat all of those people. That's the problem. I have zero knowledge in the field. I don't know anything about archaeology other than that dinosaurs are cool. I like the T-Rex. How's that gonna help me? Anyways, I digress. Let me tell you guys about the progress that I've made so far, or, the lack of progress that I've made. I've done 4 attempts on this project already. The first attempt is what you see in my background right now. I overplanned this entire thing. I spent probably half a day on this entire thing, just drafting out what ideas I had to do this project. But what they say is planning is the enemy of doing, or something along those lines. So my first attempt was basically just over planning and overdoing the unimportant parts of the project. So I spent 6 hours planning it out, coming up with ideas, reviewing all of the instructions. That leads me to the second attempt. I'm like, okay, you know what? Action is better than procrastination disguised as planning. So I just started coding. I selected 3 targets that I thought, okay, this would go well. I have 3 targets. I'm gonna code something, put something together, get the data for those 3 targets, and then analyze it. Not that hard. But those 3 targets don't have the data I need. They don't have satellite imagery. They don't have LiDAR. So I went to a safe option, which was my third attempt, right? I go to this other region that, a lot of other people are probably going to be investigating. And the problem with that? When you go the safe route, you don't win. You don't win. You might have guaranteed results. You might get something, but getting something is not winning. You're not going to make an impact if you just go the safe route. I knew that the third site that I chose would give me results based on previous insights. But it's basically guaranteed. I'm almost guaranteed to be rediscovering stuff that earlier researchers have already discovered. And how's that gonna help? How is rediscovering a site in a region that has already been discovered and already been thoroughly investigated by many researchers across the globe gonna help, right? You're finding the location that somebody else already found. That's basically useless. Now attempt number 4. Here's the problem. I got 3 new sites. 3 new sites. It's very good. I like it. So I have 2 sets of data, right? I have one set, which is the Sentinel-2 data, and then I have the second set, which is some kind of data from NASA, some LiDAR data. So the first set of data is a lot more lightweight. It's a lot more easy to use. So I was planning, okay, I'll download this data, scan it. I'm gonna find what areas have actual archaeological potential, and then I'll look into it using the much larger, much more unwieldy LiDAR data, which is over 300 GBs, just for those 3 regions. And it turns out, there is no Sentinel-2 data for the areas that I'm trying to get. I spent well over 6 hours trying to download the Sentinel-2 data, and I couldn't get any. So now I'm stuck with around 300 GB of LiDAR data ready to download. But how is my laptop going to handle 300 GB of data? So, here's the plan. We're going to have basically 3 layers of processing. First off, we're going to have code. We're going to have some Python something that can recognize the signs of civilization from LiDAR data. After that, we're gonna have the second layer, which is the O3 API. You know, the competition is hosted by OpenAI, so obviously they expect their technologies to be used at some point throughout the competition. So this is gonna be the second layer. We're gonna have its, visual processing, whatever, connect it to the ones that seem to be promising from the first layer of scanning. We're gonna have it review it, take a look. What do you think? It's gonna return, it's gonna output something. It's going to output to like a giant CSV or some kind of database, and we're going to get all of the data in that database, so it's easy to pull from and easy to analyze. Then we're going to take the most promising LiDAR shots, the most promising pieces of data, we're going to put it together into a research paper, into a little presentation, and that will be hopefully how we get some archaeology ruins onto the panel of judges at OpenAI. That is, if we actually discover anything. But how do I aim to process the 300 GB of data? As I said earlier, I'm gonna use some cloud computing. I am operating on a shoestring budget. A little too much money, and I just might as well just tip over. So I gotta be very careful with how I spend things. We have set up the GitHub repository. I tried to get AWS to work for multiple hours, and after I couldn't figure it out, I was in ChatGPT typing it out, trying to figure out my issues, and I figured out that AWS is tailored towards experienced sysadmins, not for quick startups. So I switched to multiple different other platforms to deploy a virtual machine on their cloud servers, and all of them had some kind of issue. Something or another just did not work. This is probably the fourth platform that I'm on, or the fifth. I also got the OpenAI API credits that I need for my code. I have finally gotten a virtual machine, and I got it with this little site called Vast.ai. It is now 1:16 a.m. and I have the greatest news that I could possibly receive. All of my data downloaded within a minute. The impossible just became the plausible. Now I just have to reach out and grab it. But that's the hardest part. I have to actually get the code working. It's currently 6:25 a.m. I have been working at this computer for 13 hours. And I got the whole Python script together, right? I got the whole script set up to analyze all of the H5 files we supposedly downloaded earlier. Turns out the H5 files were disguised. They were HTML files disguised as the proper data. Took me 7 hours to figure that out. And now I'm gonna have to wait another hour for the data to download, but the sun has literally set and rose since the time I started this project, and I still haven't stopped. I'm still at the computer working on it. I'm still going. You gotta have dedication to get what you want, or to even stand a chance to get what you want. Alright? You gotta be dedicated to what you do. Pursue your dreams, because if not for your dreams, then what do you live for? Alright, after that 13-hour something, it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, so I decided, you know what, I gotta get some sleep. Took a 5-hour nap. Turns out the data did not download while I was sleeping. I approached this entire project not from the lens of a programmer or a subject matter expert, because I'm not a subject matter expert. I'm kind of approaching this to solve the problem. I have some tools, and I want to see if I can use these tools to solve the problem that is in front of me. 3:29 a.m. Just spent the last few hours trying to get the download scripts to work. Yeah, it stopped working suddenly after things started going well. My download scripts just stopped working. I don't know why, but I had to do like a full rewrite of it for it to start working again. So I'm gonna be taking like a 1.5 hour nap, and once I'm up again, hopefully we can start processing the data. It is now 9 o'clock in the morning. I took a nap, which was intended to be 1.5 hours, and stretched into 6. And now it's 9 o'clock. The competition ends at 1 p.m. And in that time, I have to process all like 700 tiles of data, which has completely filled my virtual machine. 1.5 terabytes was not enough. I have to process all the data. I have to
get the results, write a research paper, make a presentation. I'm not sure how good my odds are to win this challenge or to even submit anything. We could stand a chance of getting all of it done if the code works on first try. In total, I have over 1,000 files, so if I remove about 150, I think I should get a little more space. And we'll try executing the code again. Oh man. Alright. One thing I'm concerned about is the tile shape. It's disproportionately large in one direction. The OpenAI API calls are failing though. And here's the main problem, right? The competition ends at 1, and I will most likely be outside until 1, and I have no problem with working outside, but my laptop's battery life does. 100% fully charged laptop for me lasts an hour, and I have to, if I want to get it done, I have to process all the data. Well, the virtual machine's doing that for me, but I can't really use the virtual machine without using the laptop, right? So I have to write an entire research paper with the results, and write a little mini write-up and abstract, and make a presentation. Wait, looks like I just remembered something. Alright, look at this. I converted the time zones wrong, and it looks like I have an extra day to get this project done. I was looking at the Discord server, right? I was looking, okay, look at these cool screenshots. They have a lot of archaeological sites. Looks like they're doing very well. Why are they posting this so close to the deadline? And it turns out I have an entire extra day that I did not account for, and I was working against the clock thinking about that, which is actually a good thing because now we're very far along, but we have an extra day to write our paper, to make our presentation, to make the Kaggle write-up, whatever they want, and now we have an actual chance of submitting our thing. We don't have to worry about not getting it done. I'm probably not gonna work on this when I'm outside today because I have an extra day. It's due 1 p.m. tomorrow, not 1 p.m. today. That's great. Okay, after a quick bug fix, we check our code, and it looks like it's going pretty well. Yeah, it looks like it's working. It's going through each tile, sending the images. Now we just have to wait for a response.
Okay, in this clip you can't hear me talk because I forgot to turn on my microphone. But essentially what I'm saying is I realized the issue of the giant, disproportionately long bands of data, and I was going to make some code that will basically slice each band of data into squares, so it's a lot easier for the, AI to process. It is now 9 p.m. on the night that I have to submit everything for the challenge. I came back home about 30 minutes ago, and I took a second look at my code. Turns out, I realized I never bothered to actually look in the H5 files that I downloaded, and the very files that I depend my entire project on, I don't even know what's inside of them. How did I figure that out? How did I figure out that my data is not working and I'm not going to get any results with the current code that I have? I set up this image rasterization thing that I mentioned earlier. Immediately after I recorded that segment, my laptop died and I was never able to test it. So I come back home, I test it, and I see that every single image before rasterization is just a black strip, and the rasterization doesn't even work. Which means that there's something wrong with the image, right? Logically, if you can't cut up an image, then that means that the image is broken. And I realize I don't know what's inside of the H5 files, which means that the AI that I've been relying on to code my H5 processing script also does not know what's inside of the H5 files. It is 9:40 p.m. Our code is not working. We do not have a single piece of processed data. I do not know if any of my sites are going to actually reveal any archaeological sites. I'm seeing people on the Discord server congratulating. This was a great experience. I learned a lot. And then I see people on Twitter, right? X or whatever. I'm never calling Twitter X. People are talking about how they discovered so many sites. I saw one guy with a map of South America, and there was like at least 200 dots on the map clustered in one area of archaeological sites. That is the kind of insanity that I'm competing with. We are about 8 hours away from the due date, which is a problem because even though I got the code working, it is so slow. We haven't found a single tile of data that has a potential archaeology ruin just yet. I am growing more and more uncertain. We have to wait, and there's literally nothing I can do while I wait for the data to process or whatever. 2:05 a.m. right now, and I am pretty much cooked. The code works perfectly now, but the code works. We just don't have enough time to go through all 1000 GB of tiles and process every single tile. Actually, here's what I'm gonna do. Since I have to leave home at 7 a.m. in the next day, or today, because it's already 2:08 a.m., I will wake up at 5 o'clock. That will give the data some time to process. We'll see if we have any results by then. If we do, I will crank together a research paper, I guess. I don't know how I'm gonna do that in 2 hours. And the write-up and the abstract. I don't think I'll do the presentation unless I really lock in. But that's depending on whether we have results or not. So it is now 6 a.m. I got 3 hours of sleep. It worked very well while it lasted. So I woke up, checked my data, and boom, it was empty. I had 0 results from all of my effort. This is literally the worst case scenario. I would rather have submitted a single tile with a bunch of writing connected to it than like none. So I guess the competition is over, at least for me. I wish everybody else who actually got data the best of luck. I've seen some incredible things from the people who posted in the Discord server and on Twitter. I hope somebody who discovers something crazy gets the $125,000. They deserve it because they actually have data, unlike me. You know, more opportunities are coming.